would have thought, behind his warm smile, Jimin actually has an unusual way to calm himself whenever he feels overwhelmed. This small yet meaningful action has finally been revealed, and it immediately touched ARMY all over the world, bringing many to tears. Countless fans never expected that Jimin, who always appeared so strong and bright in front of the public, secretly carried such a fragile and human side. The simple method he uses to find peace not only helps him feel more at ease, but also gives deep inspiration to his fans. The story begins with the image everyone knows so well: Jimin, standing on stage with the lights glowing down on him, his voice resonating through arenas filled with thousands of screaming ARMY. To the public, he looks untouchable, like a star destined to shine forever without faltering. Yet behind that glamorous surface lies the everyday struggles of a young man who often feels the weight of expectation pressing heavily on his shoulders. Fame has its rewards, but it also has shadows that only those who live it can understand. For Jimin, moments of silence and self-care became his lifeline. There were times when rehearsals stretched late into the night, his muscles aching from relentless dance practice, his throat raw from hours of singing. There were interviews where he smiled brightly, even when his heart longed for a moment of quiet. The demands of schedules, performances, and constant public attention left little room for him to just be Park Jimin, the young man from Busan who once dreamed of nothing more than sharing music. In those hidden moments, he found himself yearning for something simple that could remind him he was more than just an idol. That search led him to a personal ritual that shocked and touched fans when it finally came to light. It wasn't expensive, it wasn't grand, and it wasn't something that required the spotlight. Instead, it was profoundly ordinary, which made it even more extraordinary. When Jimin felt his thoughts spiraling, or the noise of the world becoming unbearable, he would sit quietly, sometimes with a journal, sometimes simply by himself. He would write small letters addressed to no one, often filled with his gratitude, his worries, or the dreams he dared not voice aloud. On other occasions, he would put on headphones and listen not to the music of charts or playlists, but to the soft sound of rain, ocean waves, or wind moving gently through trees. These sounds, grounding and tender, gave him the peace that neither fame nor applause could offer. When ARMY discovered this intimate detail, their reactions were immediate and heartfelt. Fans shared how touched they were, not only because Jimin revealed his vulnerability, but because it reminded them of their own struggles. Many had always imagined idols as perfect beings who never falter, but hearing that Jimin, someone they admired deeply, also needed his own gentle methods to calm himself made him feel even more human. It was as though a bridge suddenly formed between him and the fans, an unspoken connection that whispered, "You are not alone in your feelings, and neither am I." The news spread across social media platforms, and soon hashtags filled timelines. Fans posted pictures of rain, journals, or quiet corners of their own rooms, tagging them with messages of solidarity. They admitted that they too had rituals to soothe their hearts, and knowing Jimin shared something so similar made them cry with comfort. Many wrote long posts about how his honesty gave them the strength to accept their own emotions without shame. ARMY had always loved Jimin for his talent and kindness, but now they adored him even more for his authenticity. One particularly emotional story came from a young ARMY in South America who shared online how she had struggled with anxiety for years. She said that after learning about Jimin's habit of listening to rain sounds, she tried it herself during a difficult evening. For the first time in months, she felt a moment of calm wash over her. Through her tears, she thanked Jimin publicly, saying he had unknowingly saved her from drowning in her own thoughts. Stories like hers multiplied, each one echoing the sentiment that Jimin's small act had ripple effects across oceans, touching lives he had never even met. It is important to understand why this revelation resonated so deeply. In the world of entertainment, where perfection is often staged and vulnerability hidden, Jimin's choice to share his personal way of coping was revolutionary. He didn't present himself as flawless or unshakable. Instead, he let fans see that even he needed to pause, to breathe, and to care for himself. This honesty became more powerful than any polished performance could ever be. It was raw, real, and healing. On stage, his voice soars with power and emotion, but behind closed doors, it was the sound of nature and the scratch of a pen on paper that healed him. Fans imagined him sitting by a window, a soft lamp glowing nearby, perhaps rain tapping gently against the glass. They pictured his hand moving across a notebook, his words forming quietly, his heart becoming lighter with each sentence. These images painted Jimin not as an unreachable star, but as someone's brother, someone's son, someone's friend, someone real. As ARMY cried reading his words and learning about his private habits, many began to practice similar rituals. Online communities formed around Healing with Jimin, where fans would share recordings of rain, calming playlists, or photos of their journals. They encouraged one another to write letters to themselves or to nature, much like Jimin did. This movement became not just about admiring their idol, but about healing alongside him. It was a phenomenon that demonstrated how one person's vulnerability can inspire thousands to embrace their own. The effect on concerts and fan gatherings was also undeniable. Fans began bringing signs not only with words of love, but with simple phrases like, "Take care of yourself," Jimin, or "Rest when you need to." Some fans even designed banners filled with raindrop patterns as a tribute to his calming ritual. When Jimin saw these from the stage, his expression often softened, and he would place a hand on his chest in gratitude. Those moments were charged with a shared emotion, a silent understanding between him and ARMY that they were looking out for each other in more ways than just through music. Behind all of this lies the broader truth about why people look up to artists like Jimin. Of course, his dancing, singing, and presence are unmatched, but what makes him unforgettable is his humanity. The fact that he admitted needing comfort, that he sought it in the simplest of ways, reassured fans that it was okay for them to do the same. The tears ARMY shed were not only for Jimin, but also for themselves, for the relief of realizing that their idol's heart beats with the same fragility as their own. This story, now shared and retold countless times, continues to spread. Journalists write about it, psychologists highlight it as an example of healthy coping, and fans across generations find solace in it. Jimin, perhaps without even intending to, became a symbol of healing not through perfection, but through vulnerability. His act of calming himself wasn't staged for cameras or designed for headlines. It was a genuine, quiet practice that became known only because he allowed it to be. That authenticity is what moved ARMY to tears and reminded them why they loved him so deeply. As the years go on, this memory will likely remain etched in ARMY's hearts. They will remember the day they learned that Jimin's peace came from something so beautifully ordinary. They will remember the tears they shed, not of sadness, but of connection and empathy. And they will carry forward the lesson he unknowingly gave them, that no matter how overwhelming life becomes, there is always a way to find calm, even in the smallest, simplest acts. Jimin himself once said in an interview that he didn't share this habit because he thought it was special, but because he hoped it might help someone else. That single sentence captured his essence. It wasn't about spotlight or praise, but about reaching out with sincerity. And in doing so, he created a chain reaction of healing that spanned across continents and cultures. In the end, Jimin's quiet method of self-care became a beacon of hope for many who needed it most. And so, ARMY continues to cherish him not just as an idol, but as a human being whose courage to reveal his vulnerability gave them permission to embrace their own. They cried because they saw themselves in him, because they realized strength is not about never breaking, but about knowing how to mend. Jimin showed them that even the brightest stars need gentle nights of rain, quiet words on paper, and moments of solitude to shine again. That is the beauty of his story, and that is why it will never be forgotten.